The relentless march of time is perhaps most visible in the children of the House of Windsor. For years, the public has been treated to a meticulously curated album of memories. From those early, gappy-toothed birthday portraits where Prince George stood sturdily in his shorts, to the confident, poised teenager we see today. It is a transition that feels both sudden and entirely inevitable, a reminder of the swiftness with which childhood gives way to the structured expectations of royal life. As George prepares to navigate the transition to Eton, a rite of passage that bridges the gap between his carefree youth and the looming responsibilities of his future, the atmosphere surrounding the royal household feels charged with a renewed sense of anticipation and subtle change. We are witnessing a new generation stepping out of the shadows, finding their footing in a world that has watched them grow from behind the safety of the camera lens, now forced to face the harsh, unyielding glare of the spotlight with a maturity that belies their tender years. The recent spectacle of Trooping the Colour served as a poignant illustration of this maturation, where the effortless grace of Princess Charlotte, now 11, stood in stark contrast to the slightly more reserved, yet still unmistakable, energy of 8-year-old Prince Louis. It was a moment that felt less like a public engagement and more like a private milestone, an indicator that the next chapter of the monarchy is being written in real time, right before our eyes. The audience, as always, is left to ponder the complexities hidden behind the royal smiles, the quiet pressures of lineage, and the unspoken weight of legacies that extend far beyond the palace walls. It is within this unfolding narrative of growth and tradition that we find ourselves contemplating the larger questions of family, duty, and the invisible threads that tie the past to the future. As we delve into the intricacies of these evolving lives and explore the subtle nuances of the royal journey, we invite you to stay with us, subscribing to this channel to ensure you never miss a moment of this ongoing and compelling story as it continues to unfold. There is something inherently magnetic about watching lives so fundamentally different from our own, yet so strikingly human in their developments. While the cameras capture the public faces, the true intrigue lies in the spaces between these events, the quiet moments that the public rarely sees, and the decisions that are made far away from the applause and the scrutiny. It is here in these unseen corners that the drama of life often takes its most significant turns, leading to confrontations and reconciliations that ripple through the collective consciousness of the public. Across the Atlantic, the narrative shifts, taking on a tone that is simultaneously familiar and radically different. In the sun-drenched landscape of Montecito, the children of the Sussex household are carving out their own unique existence, shielded by the deliberate privacy that their parents have fought so hard to cultivate. The fragments of information that do emerge, often through carefully chosen glimpses on social media, paint a picture of a life that is vibrant, modern, and distinctively separate from the rigid structures of the United Kingdom. 7-year-old Archie, described as a spirited and athletic child, and 5-year-old Lilibet, with her developing personality and modern sensibilities, exist in a reality that feels miles away, not just in geography, but in essence. It has been 4 years since these two branches of the same family tree were last seen within the same national borders, a period of silence that has been punctuated only by whispers of estrangement and the distant echoes of a fractured bond. The sheer duration of this separation is, in itself, a topic of profound contemplation. 4 years is a lifetime in the world of a growing child, a span of time where memories fade and new identities are forged. The fact that the cousins have essentially grown up as strangers to one another adds a layer of melancholy to an already complex family saga. It forces us to question the nature of familial duty versus personal freedom, and how the choices made by the previous generation inevitably shape the reality of the next. As we look at these two distinct paths, the one deeply embedded in the historical architecture of Britain, and the other boldly forging a new identity in the California heat, we are struck by the immense chasm that has opened up, a silence that speaks louder than any official statement ever could. This is not merely a story about royalty. It is a story about the fragility of relationships and the struggle to maintain connection when the world demands that you choose sides. The anticipation of what might happen when these worlds finally collide is palpable. It is a tension that simmers just beneath the surface of royal reporting, a constant underlying hum of speculation that drives our collective fascination. Every appearance, every carefully worded press release, and every strategic silence is analyzed for clues, for signs of change, for a hint of what the future might hold. We are observers of an unfolding drama that feels almost Shakespearean in its scope. A tale of brothers, of parents, of children, and of the weight of history that binds them all together in a dance that none of them truly asked for, but all are compelled to perform. The upcoming period promises to be one of significant developments, a time when the curtains might finally be pulled back on the true state of affairs. As we navigate the labyrinthine details of this story, we find ourselves asking whether the distance between these two families is permanent, or whether the invisible forces of blood and history will eventually pull them back toward one another. The path forward is obscured by shadows, by deep-seated misunderstandings, and by the relentless pressure of public perception, yet the allure of a resolution remains strong. It is in this atmosphere of uncertainty and guarded hope that the next phase of our journey begins, a journey that will take us deeper into the heart of the matter than ever before. We will explore the motivations, the fears, and the complex human desires that drive these high-stakes interactions, stripping away the layers of media speculation to get to the core of what is truly at stake. As we stand on the precipice of these potential changes, we recognize that the story is far from over. It is merely evolving, changing shape as it moves from one chapter to the next. The focus on the children, both here and across the sea, serves as a poignant reminder that while the adults may carry the burden of the past, it is the next generation that will ultimately inherit the consequences of the present. This realization brings a sense of gravity to the entire situation, transforming it from a mere tabloid headline into a narrative of lasting consequence. As we prepare to delve into the heart of these events, we encourage you to reflect on the nature of families and the difficulties of reconciliation. It is a struggle that many understand, even if the stakes in this case are played out on a global stage. The desire for peace, for connection, and for the simple comfort of belonging is universal. And it is this underlying truth that makes this particular story so deeply resonant. We are merely at the beginning of this exploration, and as we move forward, the complexities will only deepen, the questions will become more pointed, and the reality of the situation will continue to reveal itself in ways that will undoubtedly challenge our assumptions and keep us all questioning what lies ahead. There is an unspoken understanding that the path to a potential resolution is paved with obstacles, some of which may seem insurmountable to the casual observer. Yet the story continues, fueled by the persistent belief that no matter how deep the divide, there is always the possibility of a shift in the tide. We invite you to continue this exploration with us as we prepare to peel back the layers of this fascinating and intricate tale, keeping our gaze fixed on the unfolding events that promise to define the future of this iconic and complicated family dynamic. The delicate balance of royal relations was unexpectedly disrupted by a sudden announcement that has sent shockwaves through both the British press and the corridors of the palace. Out of the blue, word emerged from California that when Prince Harry travels to the United Kingdom next month to promote the Invictus Games, he will not be traveling alone. For the first time in years, he is reportedly planning to be joined by his wife, Meghan, and their two children, Archie and Lilibet. This development has immediately transformed a standard charitable visit into a high-stakes family summit, raising a torrent of questions about how the royal family will respond. The most pressing question on everyone's mind is whether Harry and his young family will be granted any private time with King Charles. This reunion is said to be at the very top of Harry's personal agenda, given that it has been 9 long months since he last saw his father, whose precautionary cancer treatments remain an ongoing and deeply private battle. The signals emanating from the Sussex camp suggest that they view this upcoming summer journey as a grand, unprecedented opportunity for reconciliation. It is being framed by their supporters as a genuine chance to finally begin healing the profound wounds left behind by their departure from royal duties, a turbulent transition that reshaped the modern monarchy. Reports suggest that Harry has indicated a deep, heartfelt desire to reintroduce his children to their grandfather, a move that would represent a monumental milestone in their fractured family relations. Furthermore, sources close to the Sussexes have leaked that Harry has been assured there will be sufficient security provided for his family during their stay, removing what was previously described as the single greatest barrier to their return. A source close to the prince emphasized that it has been a point of great sadness for Harry that he has been unable to bring his wife and children back to his homeland safely, and that he is eager for them to reconnect with old friends and the wider family. Another business associate from Los Angeles echoed these sentiments, claiming that Harry is returning with the express intent to reunite with his father and believes this visit will pave the way for a long-term, peaceful relationship, especially following their brief summit in London last year. They noted that while deep-seated trust issues certainly remain, there is a growing sense that all parties are weary of conflict and genuinely want peace. However, within the traditional royal circles in London, this sudden announcement has been interpreted in a radically different and far more cynical light. Palace insiders are reportedly aghast at the prospect of this visit, viewing the timing and the public manner of the announcement with deep suspicion. Rather than seeing a heartwarming tale of a son wanting to make amends with his father, many in the UK view Harry's decision to bring the children as a highly calculated, manipulative gambit. Some have gone so far as to describe it as an act of emotional blackmail against an aging and vulnerable monarch. Surprisingly, these strong sentiments are being echoed back in California, where sources formerly close to the Sussexes expressed astonishment at the announcement, calling it a new low and characterizing it as a gauntlet thrown down by the couple. These critics argue that the visit is not designed as a genuine reunion, but rather as a strategic trap for the palace. By bringing the grandchildren, Harry and Meghan effectively dare the royal household to ignore them. If the king refuses to meet them, the Sussexes can control the narrative, claiming they made the ultimate effort to fly across the Atlantic with their children only to be coldly rejected. This interpretation highlights the immense tension that still exists beneath the surface, proving that the scars of past interviews, memoirs, and public accusations are far from healed. Beyond the immediate emotional drama of a family dispute, this visit carries massive financial and logistical implications regarding the prince's ongoing battle over personal security. After losing a high-profile court battle for state-funded police protection, Harry privately requested that the government's Royal and VIP Executive Committee reassess his risk level. That committee is currently undertaking a full assessment before making a final decision. Insiders believe that by announcing a family trip with young children, the Sussexes are attempting to force the government's hand, creating a scenario where a denial of official security could be framed as actively endangering the king's grandchildren. This tactical maneuvering has raised the stakes to an absolute maximum, considering that Harry currently spends an estimated $3 million a year of his own money to maintain a private security detail for his family. Yet, despite the elaborate narrative of reconciliation being constructed by the Sussex camp, a gaping hole remains in their plans. Palace sources insist that absolutely no meeting with the king has been placed in the official diary. The king does not share the intimate details of his schedule with his younger son, meaning the Sussexes are flying into London with no confirmation of where the monarch will be or how busy his schedule might look. Some speculate the king may suddenly find himself entirely unavailable due to prior commitments. It also remains highly uncertain whether other members of the family, such as Princess Eugenie, will choose to reach out and bridge the divide. The overarching reaction within the palace walls is described as one of profound weariness, with insiders wondering if the couple will ever learn that public press briefings are the worst way to repair private relationships. The palace maintains a strict red line regarding these matters, refusing to engage in a public war of words, but the underlying feeling remains one of intense frustration. King Charles is known to be a man of faith who desires forgiveness and family unity, having last seen Harry for just under an hour, yet he must remain extremely wary of doing anything that could be weaponized or misinterpreted in the ongoing security dispute. The fear of weaponization is deeply rooted in the history of grievances that have flowed from Montecito over the past several years. Many observers point out that the continuous focus on Harry's personal meetings threatens to overshadow the actual charitable and constitutional work of the monarchy, creating a media circus that the palace desperately wishes to avoid. The king felt trapped into a meeting during their last brief encounter, and there is a determined effort among his advisors to ensure he is not bounced into another uncomfortable situation, especially one involving the children. The drama is further intensified by the realization that as the Sussexes face shifting commercial fortunes in America, maintaining their royal connection is becoming increasingly vital to their global brand. This upcoming visit is therefore seen by some analysts not just as a family visit, but as a critical pivot point for their future public roles. The stakes could not be higher for either side, as the world watches a family drama play out against a backdrop of constitutional duty, personal security, and a deep history of broken trust. The tension continues to build as the date of their expected arrival draws closer, leaving the public to wonder if this trip will mark the beginning of a genuine peace or the ignition of an entirely new conflict. As the countdown to the high-stakes July visit begins, the focus of the global media has shifted dramatically toward the two youngest individuals caught in this complex web of fame, duty, and estrangement. For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have fiercely guarded the identities of their children, Archie and Lilibet, keeping them far removed from the relentless glare of the public eye. We have grown accustomed to seeing only the most carefully managed glimpses of their lives, artful photographs taken from behind, artistic silhouettes, or images where long hair obscures a face. This protective stance was widely understood as a direct response to Harry's own deeply ingrained traumas regarding his childhood under the microscope of the British monarchy. Yet, in an extraordinary turn of events, sources within the Sussex camp have begun to drop hints that this long-standing policy of total privacy is about to undergo a radical transformation. Reports suggest that during their upcoming 2-week stay in the United Kingdom, Harry is planning to introduce Archie and Lilibet to public-facing events for the very first time. Specifically, there are discussions about the children appearing alongside their parents at the major launch event, marking the 1-year countdown to the international Invictus Games, scheduled to take place in Birmingham. This potential move has sent shockwaves through royal commentary circles, leaving many critics and allies alike utterly bewildered. To some observers, the idea of launching these young children into the world of public service feels like a direct contradiction of everything Harry has expressed in the past regarding the psychological burdens of royal childhood. It is a prospect that makes his critics shudder, with some viewing it as a desperate attempt to regain public relevance at a time when the couple's media ventures have faced significant commercial challenges. If these plans materialize, the global media attention will be absolute, potentially marking a high-water mark of public fascination and permanently changing the dynamic between the California branch of the family and the British public. The family is planning no fleeting visit. Their stay is expected to last for a full fortnight, encompassing engagements not only for the Invictus Games but also for several other UK charities that remain close to Harry's heart, such as Wellchild and Scotty's Little Soldiers. This extended presence ensures that the publicity surrounding the children will be sustained and intense, completely upending the narrative Harry established last year when he stated that he could not foresee a world in which he would safely bring his family back to his homeland without official state protection. The contradiction between past statements and current actions highlights the fluid, unpredictable nature of this ongoing saga. Amidst this brewing storm, the practical realities of their stay are also being ironed out behind the scenes. The family has reportedly been offered accommodation on the secure royal estate for the duration of their visit, a gesture that demonstrates the king's ongoing desire to provide a safe haven for his son and grandchildren, despite the deep ideological divisions between them. In the past, similar offers of palace accommodation were turned down by Harry due to his persistent anxieties regarding security, and it remains unclear whether a compromise will be reached this time around. Meanwhile, the official stance from the Home Office remains entirely unchanged, with representatives refusing to comment on the record about the specific nature of the prince's protection. Insiders maintain that Harry will receive a bespoke security package tailored strictly to the perceived threat level of each specific public engagement, a protocol that has been standard practice ever since he chose to step away from his role as a working royal. The upcoming weeks are widely expected to bring a final, definitive decision from the authorities' openness regarding his long-term security status, and many believe the entire summer trip has been engineered to put maximum pressure on this bureaucratic process. For many financial and social analysts, this sudden pivot toward the UK points to a more practical underlying reality. Following the high-profile downgrading of their multi-million-dollar streaming deals and a noticeable decline in digital engagement for their recent lifestyle brands, some palace sources describe this return in blunt economic terms, suggesting that repairing the royal connection is becoming a financial necessity for the couple's survival in the global marketplace. This brings us back to the central figures of this historic drama, the participants themselves. King Charles, whose ongoing health battles have been a source of deep national concern, remains a complex figure of paternal love and institutional responsibility. Those who know him best describe him as a deeply spiritual man who instinctively leans toward forgiveness and familial unity. Yet his role as king prevents him from making personal concessions that could undermine governmental decisions or compromise the dignity of the crown. On the other side stands Prince Harry, a man driven by a profound desire to protect his immediate family while simultaneously trying to reclaim a piece of the heritage he left behind. The tragedy of the situation lies in the fact that both sides seem to desire a resolution, yet the mountain of public grievances, legal battles, and media manipulation makes a simple reconciliation almost impossible. This upcoming visit represents a critical crossroads for the House of Windsor. It is an event that could either pave the way for a long-term, peaceful coexistence or solidify the division for a generation to come. As the dates approach, the world can only watch and wait to see how these powerful dynamics play out on the global stage, reminding us all of the heavy burdens that come with a life lived in service to history.